Welcome to Simply Business. I'm your host, Taylor Lee, and I'm so excited to have you here. As a business consultant, I've helped countless business owners simplify their strategies and achieve their goals, and now I'm here to bring you this expertise right to your ears. Each episode, I'll be sharing tips and strategies to help you achieve your business goals without the overwhelm. I will also be chatting with business owners and industry experts to share their stories, insights, and lessons they've learned along the way. Let's dive in and simplify your business. Hello, and welcome back for another episode of Simply Business. In today's episode, we are diving into how to make money in your sleep. And I'm so bloody excited to dive into this episode. Reason being is I think a lot of people come into business because they want to be able to make money and not always exchange their time for money, right? We go from working a full-time job and we get paid by the hour typically, right? So when we start a business, we want to be able to scale that income and leverage our time to the best of its ability. But what a lot of people experience is they come into business and they're working more hours, right? And not necessarily getting paid for those hours, which I want to preface is absolutely a part of business. There is going to be a grind season. There is going to be constant seasons in your business where you are prioritizing building and that growth so that you can be working those hours and then getting that return. But where a lot of people go wrong is they make that the norm. And what I want to speak to you about today is how that you can then leverage passive sales. And you can't make passive sales without passive marketing and actually having a streamlined process that is able to actually nurture either new prospect clients or continuing clients. Now, for myself and the stage in business in which I'm at, I don't have a million and one funnels. I don't have all of these opt-ins, these freebies. I don't do paid ads where I'm getting, a lot of volume and people through my funnels. I am purely prioritizing existing clients and new clients that are existing in my socials, right? For the season I'm in right now. And that is not the only way to do it. And I want to preface that there is 101 ways that you can do it. But what I have been able to nail in this season and the direction in which that I'm taking my business, so when I start adding things like paid ads, more optimized funnels, is I've already nailed the foundations. And so often people don't nail the foundations and they think that paying for a paid ad or boosting their Instagram is going to solve their problem of not having clients or having poor client retention, where that's not actually the case. So let's dive into exactly why that or exactly what you need to implement rather to actually have people paying you in your sleep, right? And the first stage of this is actually going to be the discovery stage. So what can you have in place in terms of processes to support the discovery stage of a prospect client, right? Because they're going to go through a journey. They're going to discover, you're going to then nurture them, and then they're going to convert, right? That discovery stage might look like discovering you for the first time on social media. Or that discovery stage might look like, oh, this is the next steps for working with Taylor, right? They already know who I am. They know the service I provide. They know the transformation, but they don't know what the next steps look like. So how can you be so crystal clear in the discovery stage? Now, this is going to look like things like your messaging. If your messaging is vague, if you don't clearly solve a problem, if you don't clearly offer a transformation, people aren't going to then step to the next stage, right? So you can have all of the visibility. And this is where you see people online that have, they've gone viral. They have thousands and thousands upon thousands of eyeballs on their brand, on their business, but it really lacks conversion. And that's not typically because of the offer. It's not because of the price. It's because there's no clear process to nurture them from discovering you to then being able to feel like they're being nurtured, right? They understand you in the relationships. So some things that you can implement in order to support this discovery stage. A, your messaging. B, what is the next step? So many people don't have something as simple as optimizing their social media to make it so crystal clear on what those next steps are. Do you want them to click on a link in your bio? Do you want them to download the freebie? Do you want them to listen to your latest podcast episode? Do you have optimized highlights? Is your bio on Instagram so crystal clear? Start there before you start looking at the 501 email nurture sequences that you can be implementing in your business. Because if you're not even getting them to click on a link, there's your first problem, right? So They've just clicked on a link. The next phase is making sure that you have somewhere that you can effectively capture your prospect leads, right? Something that I was told in my own business journey, which was so damaging, was like, you don't need a website. And whilst I believe it to a certain degree, you can make a shit ton of money without having a website. You need somewhere to capture someone, right? And that might not be a built out website. We've got a homepage, about page, a blog page, like all of the things. You don't need that. You don't need all the bells and whistles, but you do need somewhere to take that ideal client. So what are you offering them in return to be able to capture their email to then nurture them through the next phases, right? So are you offering a freebie, and not a freebie for the sake of offering a freebie? Again, this is where so many people go wrong. They tick the box of having the free lead magnet, but it's not optimized. It doesn't make any fucking sense. It's not something that the ideal client will get value from, or they target the freebie to someone that's a beginner when they're actually trying to target someone further along in their journey, right? For the beginner at the gym when they're actually looking to work with more advanced or intermediate gym goers as a fitness coach. That's an example for you, right? So what is the next step in how you're going to actually capture them? And typically we want to offer value in return, right? This is why podcasts are also fantastic, right? Because typically we need to actually consume someone for 7 hours on 4 different platforms before, and have 11 interactions with them before we feel like we can actually trust them and buy from them. And I'm not saying you need to get on 4 platforms tomorrow. What I am saying is start diversifying where people can actually consume you. So that can be something like a platform like your Instagram, your website, your podcast, maybe a TikTok. We can actually diversify those platforms. I personally also see Instagram as 2 separate platforms. A lot of people just consume stories, some just consume the in-feed content. So we want to understand how we can be in diverse areas where people can be consuming us on multiple different interactions for long periods of time. So this is why conversion event masterclasses work really, really well, right? Because you're on a live masterclass, you're interacting with the service provider as a consumer, you understand their zone of genius, there's a level of trust, there's a level of rapport that's being built, right? Which is why that they work so well when they're done right. Another place, things like your website, how can you then capture those leads? Back to podcast, you're sitting here, you're consuming me speaking to you, I'm giving you value, and you're most likely going through that transition. You might be someone that just listens to my podcast, and that is so perfect and fine. You might be someone that is currently in a stage where you're binging my podcast episodes because you're contemplating working with me and you just want to understand my perspectives, who I am, what I value, how I speak, how I articulate myself, which is what so many of my clients do. They're like, I just binge your podcast, right? So how can you have a method to give someone that? Do you need to start a podcast? No, that's not the only method, but you need to have somewhere where you can then start moving someone into that conversion phase, right? So we've taken them from your Instagram or wherever your visibility-based platform is, and how are you then nurturing? So how are you providing that value, right? These are all the systems and processes that you need to have in place because you need to understand the journey of your ideal client. And this is where people go wrong. They don't understand just how strategic each moving part is, right? So you want to ensure that you actually have something to nurture. Something else that I do in my business is I actually have an area for packages and rates. So when you're looking on my website, you'll see packages and rates, right? So this goes into, the inclusions with working with me, their name, their email, and we have a series of nurturing emails following that. So we can then direct people to my podcast. They might not have even known that I had a podcast. We can give value of video testimonials from clients that I have. We can speak about objections that people face. We can speak about the transformation that my clients were able to achieve, right? And we can constantly look at this funnel and optimize that further so we're actually nurturing, right? This is what I'm speaking about when it comes to making money in your sleep. It's not about having this passive offer, quote unquote, sitting in the link tree in your bio and going, yep, that'll just sell, right? There's so much more to it. So then someone can download my packages and rates, then they're in a nurture sequence, then that can direct them, right? So we have those opportunities for them to move in, to apply for one-on-one with me. We have opportunities for them to listen to my podcast if that's the phase that they're at. We also have opportunities where they can opt into lower ticket offers if that's what's best for them. This is the reason why that I can wake up and people can move into my programs. This is the reason that I can wake up and a client has re-signed into an offer, because I actually have the opportunities and the automations to do so. It's actually not that complex. And this brings me to my next phase from the conversion perspective, is what's going to be the thing that allows them to convert also without you. And people can convert without you. And we still want to have the personal touch. I'm a huge believer in having that personal touch. I'll voice note potential clients in the DMs. I'll jump on a call if I need to jump on a call. I don't have any resistance to that, but I've actually got the structure to support that. So then everything else that I'm doing on top of it is a benefit, right? So you need to understand, if you're an ideal client going through the journey of your business, where would you convert? Where would you get nurtured? Because we can almost be a little naive in thinking people just know who I am. People just know the services that I offer, where they simply don't. There needs to be a level of repetition, and there needs to be that level of nurturing and rapport building, because at the end of the day, you are up with your competitors, right? You're up against your competitors. Someone coming to me for, systems and processes and this in your business, I'm up against both direct and indirect competitors. And my ideal client is listening to their podcast, is searching through their website for their services. They're contemplating, right? When someone's at a conversion phase, they're not in a stage where they need problem awareness content. They need why that I'm the best person to solve that problem and take them to their transformation, right? So you need to make sure that you have things in place in your business that's going to do that. So how can you remain top of mind for your ideal client? Is it the nurture sequences? Is it then even having systems and processes in your business so that you can actually re-engage? You can have a level of a strategy where you actually have outbound, especially if you're at a stage in business where you're looking to sign more clients. You're in that phase, right? And I believe there's always those different seasons and phases. What are you actively doing that's not just relying on all this inbound traffic as well? So if someone's downloading your packages and rates and you have their Instagram handle, how can you give them a follow? How can you engage with their content? How can you have a conversation with them? And I think a lot of people have this resistance to outbound because they associate it with cold outreach and bro marketing, where that's not actually the case. It's you being diligent and you giving a new level of care, a deeper level of care. I even had a stage in my business where I was like, all right, I'm fucking bringing some people in. Like, that's my focus right now for this season. Every new follower I got that would be an ideal client of mine, I sent a voice note. There was something where I was like, hey, this, like, and it wasn't this like weird cold outreach, like there's been no rapport. Like, they followed me. They've come into my world, but I've then taken it a level deeper with the outbound of having a conversation. And this is where so many people try and like lean into the energy of like hands off and I attract and like, my clients come to me and feminine led sales, but you can still lead a feminine led business. I don't do any bro marketing tactics in my business. I'm just smart and I'm just strategic and I understand what's going to set me apart from my competitor, right? And you need to do the same in your business. So you need to understand, what systems can I put in place at every single phase that they would be going through that's going to allow me to be top of mind, that's also going to position me as an authority and different to my competitor, right? So those emails, they matter. That outreach, it matters. This brings me to my next point. If you have a continuing client, don't just always focus on where's my next new client coming from. I see this all the time. It's like new client, new client, new client. How am I getting new clients? Meanwhile, you've forgotten about your existing clients that are obsessed with you, your service, have been talking about your service highly to their friends and family, right? That are already a valued paying customer of yours. And you're so focused on how I can attract all of these new clients whilst you're forgetting about the people that should matter most, right? So what systems can you have in place, right? Because at the end of the day, we are a human. It's impossible to be like, no, it's so personalized. I remember Sally, Becky, this thing, that thing, this thing. It's simply impossible if you want to build a big scalable business. But how can you have systems in place to always lead with front of mind of your existing clients? How can you better support them? How can there be incentives for them to refer other potential clients, right? Do you have a customer testimonial form where not only are you capturing their testimonial, you're capturing potential referrals, right? You're capturing and understanding the problems that they were experiencing. You're capturing if they will actually want to continue with you, right? They might want to stay, but you never gave them an opportunity to actually stay with you as a paying client, right? So this is what you really want to prioritize, is those existing clients as well. And of course, we need the blend of both. We always need to be bringing in new people too. But how can you focus on the existing clients as well? Can there be a benefit if they, refer someone to your services? Is there a way that they can continue in your world? And a way in which that I really manage this, because like I said, it's impossible as a human, especially running a business, to manage all of the things, plus think about, okay, this client, she ends soon. I have a database in my strategic planner that I sell. It's a Notion planner template. And this is where we keep data for all of my accelerator clients and my one-on-one clients. So, and then I still have my other database where I keep all of my clients, but especially one-on-one clients. Every single week, me and my team member have a meeting and we go through new clients that have signed up. We understand how can we best support them. We send a gift depending on the package, right? Where we can make our client feel so fucking special. We understand the phase in which they're at. So if they're a few weeks into working with me or 2 months into working with me, we'll send my team member who manages the client success, we'll send an email, check in with them if they've got any feedback, anything they're struggling with, anything they're not liking, so we can actually nip it in the bud at the start, and then we can make sure they have the most incredible experience. We then capture at the end, do they want options to continue, right? Yes, I would love to continue straight away. No, I would love options maybe in the next 3 to 6 months. Then we have a reminder to reach out to them in the next 3 to 6 months, right? We are nurturing these relationships. It is so important because that's what matters most. And so often business owners are so caught up in the growth on social media, getting all these new clients, getting all these leads. And like I said before, forgetting about the existing clients. And I've had my own iteration in this where I've had someone that I very well would have invested in again, but then the relationship got so far removed I couldn't even contact her, right? So you want to make sure that you're always nurturing those relationships. And of course, not every single client you're going to want to re-sign or work with, or it feels like the relationship is at a close, and that's also perfect, right? And it's not about forcing people to think that they have to stay working with you. It's not about that at all. But do you even have right now options for them to give you feedback? Do you even give them options to continue working with you, right? That's not a generic copy and paste. Like, you're 2 weeks out from finishing with Taylor. Would you like some more options to continue? Like, bored, right? And it feels generic. How can you add a personal touch? And this is that blend of personalization with the right structure. You can have the structure that reminds you, that allows your team to manage, and then you're adding the personal touch. So it's the cherry on top, not that they're just relying on you. And vice versa, we're not just relying on the structure. You actually need them both. So with this, when you can actually apply it every single phase, how am I going to best capture people from a systems perspective, right? How can I understand the data of, okay, people are opting into my free lead magnet, but then they're not converting at all. Okay, we need to work on that. People are in the nurture sequence and then they're not converting at all. Okay, how can I give so much value? How can I make my ideal client trust me? Is there anything I need to implement in that process? Maybe it is bringing in a potential free discovery call. Like, if you can look at every single phase about what you're actively doing in order to support your client to the best of your abilities, right? And a lot of this can be systemized and a lot of this can be automated. This is going to be how you make money in your sleep, right? This is going to be how that revenue stacks. And of course, we can take this a layer deeper with things like funnels and whatnot. But for the purpose of this episode, I want you to understand you need to nail the foundations before you can start adding all the other things on top, right? If you're simply not nurturing a client that's worked with you for the past 6 months, start there, right? If you're not giving clients any kind of incentive for staying with you, right? Any reason to stay with you, why would they? I use this example with clients quite often, but think of it like gyms. Like, I always see with gyms, like your commercial gyms, that it's like, for the month of February, you can sign up and you get 4 weeks free, right? There's all these incentives for bringing in new leads, right? Gyms are classic for this, for always focusing on new leads, got to close them out. When is there ever anything for the existing clients? Because it is this one and done, right? And of course, when something is such deep levels of a need, I'm like, I just like my gym membership. I'm on a good gym membership. But why is it that all of these new clients just get looked after and the ones that have paid you, you're forgetting about, right? And just because someone's paid you and stopped working with you also doesn't mean that they don't want to re-engage you and work with you in the future, especially depending on the type of work. Like, if you are a fitness coach, maybe can it just be okay that I do have a break for 12 weeks and I just do things on my own and I just reevaluate a few things? Or if you're a photographer, I'm probably just going to engage you on a project basis, right? So how can you ensure, and I was speaking to my dad about this the other day, he's like, we'll have customers that won't work with us or pay us a single cent for 2 years, but we'll still send them an end of year gift. And then they come back with a huge investment for us, right? Start prioritizing client relationships, because that will speak volumes. That will trump your social media marketing and how viral a video goes any fucking day of the week. Yes, it's the long game, but it's the game that's going to build you a sustainable, scalable business when you actually prioritize client relationships. I could keep going on. I could keep rambling, but I'm going to leave it there, because I want you to understand that the marketing that you're seeing around making money in your sleep doesn't really have to do with all the ads and like all these conversion, funnels and all of the things. And don't get me wrong, that's a huge part. But what matters most is your client relationships and nurturing every single phase of that client journey, so you can balance the blend of the systems and the processes to hold you, and you can add in the personal touch. I hope you got so much value out of this episode. I can't wait to see you in the next episode. If you enjoyed this, please like, share on your stories, tag me, follow the podcast if you aren't already. It means so, so much to me, so I can continue doing what I'm doing and giving incredible value and bringing on amazing guests. I will catch you in the next episode. And that wraps up another episode of Simply Business. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to today's episode. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please feel free to share it onto your socials and tag me. I love seeing all of your shares and feedback on the episode. If you're feeling extra generous, please feel free to follow me over on Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok at Taylor Lee Consulting, and a like and subscribe wherever you listen to this podcast would be greatly appreciated. I'll catch you in the next episode.